No, I'm playing. Not really. Every time I do one of these and I don't do one for like a month that I'm supposed to do it, I come back with some random excuse, and I'm sorry about that. Genuinely, not really. Sometimes in life you just gotta, not care and go in raw and just do it. That's why my dad has 6 kids. This is the playlist video where I come at you with a bunch of different songs that I've been listening to over the past few weeks, and I put them all together in a video. So hopefully the people that our uncultured swine can have something new to listen to for the next month until I make another one of these in about a year. You guys know my love for Meg the Stallion, not because of her body at all. I respect women. It has everything in the world to do with the song structure and the Houston crudeness that she's delivered on her new project Fever. I really love Running Up Freestyle. Go check it out. Got a lot of that energy, her lightning delivery, concrete delivery, lightning fast flows at certain moments, the confidence within herself. Oh my God, it's amazing from start to finish. Well, it's not amazing, okay? But like I said, it's nothing to do physical. I respect when got the moves like I'm Ryu, Yellow Diamonds Pikachu. When I turn up, when I go Super Saiyan, I turn up like something like that. It's trash, but it's great at the same time. Break Me Off with Ari Lennox. I know I didn't get to her album. A lot of people wanted me to at least review it. I tried, then I scrapped it because I tried to listen to it, somewhat finished it, came back to it, just never got a chance to give it one complete cohesive listen. But one track that I really did enjoy off of this project was the Break Me Off single. Oh my God, did that give me some early 2000s vibes, some really heavy, almost what I kind of would have imagined Destiny Child might have given me at some point in their career. See what she said, summertime, right? Getting his dick in the summertime. The next track was Big Titties from Rico Nasty and EarthGang. Really enjoyed this track. And I don't remember it being so catchy when I first listened to it, but they did catch me at the show signing on some big titties. That is just hard. Whether it's the verse from the members of EarthGang talking about the kitty cat references, I just think their flows are really fun on this track. The vocal inflections that they went with, and like I said, the hook is really infectious on this track. So if you haven't heard it, go give it a listen right now. If I were an artist, would love to just sign on some big titties all day, and I would purposefully mess up the ink so I could erase them and watch them jiggle around. That's just me. You could be different. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Oh my God. When I tell you this track is fantastic. A lot of y'all, I appreciate you for telling me it was the Kanye sample. Well, it wasn't the Kanye sample. It was the sample Kanye used for his track Bound so long ago with the A Boy Is a Gun song. But I really enjoyed this track. I really enjoyed that whole album from tracks like, I forgot all of the track names. New Magic Wine to Puppet to A Boy Is a Gun, just a bunch of tracks, Earthquake. A lot of this album is just fuego from start to finish, but this one in particular, I think just embodied the transitional period in between, trying to express yourself to someone and not wanting to be shot down. At the same time, trying to be with someone that you feel is dangerous to you specific. I just think the way it handles itself and dramatizes itself instrumentally on this track is perfect. And I do think his voice here is a really strong highlight. It's almost muzzled to the extent that he doesn't really want to express himself for fear of being shot down, but it just listen to the track because it really does embody like an anxiety in the background, but also perfectly describes the atmosphere for what you should be allowed to express. I know I went way too deep with that, but like that's just how I like to do things. I like going deep. The higher track with Nipsey Hussle that was on DJ Khaled's album was pretty much the only highlight of that album for me. Give or take a couple more, maybe with Big Shawn, maybe one with Meek, maybe one with I believe I gave somebody else credit somewhere along the road, but this one was the best track by far on here. If you haven't heard it already, for fear of going into a DJ Khaled album, knowing what he's been doing the past few years and the atrocities that he's given us musically, don't be afraid to check out this single right here. And Nipsey again was killing that blue suit. YG's new album, for real. I know a lot of people, for some odd reason, think that he's remaking the same music that he used to make, but I feel more personally, I feel that he's just making the music that he knows how to make best. And I think the music here, he just sounds a little bit more, I don't know, natural over. It's not as planned, not as calculated, not as purposefully conceptually driven or anything like that. Like he's trying to push forward some idea. He's a street rapper giving you some West Coast vibes with some West Coast music over some West Coast beats and having some very minimal subject matter, even though a good portion of this album does peer into his relationships. A couple tracks actually, and the final track being an ode to Nipsey Hussle. Bottle Service, you've got the track with Kamaya and G-Eazy. Despite G-Eazy's, if it stink down there, my face isn't in it. I don't know why you even have to tell me that. Also, his track Go Loco is a West Coast Latin tune that's just so sexy and groovy. I don't know why it's so empty lyrically, and there's not much happening when it comes to the flows on this track, but I think Tyga has a nice feature. I don't know who the end guy is. He sounds like he's wearing a sombrero. I know that's racist, but I'm sorry. Speaking of racism, we got Jamila Woods' new album, Legacy. I don't want to make it seem like it's racist, her album or anything. I'm just saying if you don't like her album, you're probably a fucking racist, because the whole project is central theme is basically, you know, her speaking from the perspectives of different legendary black women, you know. And I really enjoyed this project, but one in particular, I think it was the intro track that really struck me hard, was just how free her vocals were in the very intro during the chorus. Piano and the very subtle message of this track of not being held back by anything that would threaten male masculinity kind of go hand in hand. Hey, that picture in your head, throw it away and in the trash and incinerate it. Yeah, I'm feeling that, man. Not only is it an ode on this track to falling in love with herself and realizing her value. This isn't the first time we've gotten a track like this, but just how her vocals in the chorus embody the idea of freedom to me is what I like so much about this track. And if you're interested in that whole concept and that idea, I'd recommend the entire project. Yo, it is just Black Woman Day on this channel right now. I got Jayla Darden with Idea 628. This is an artist that's making some pretty generic R&B music right now, but if you know me, you know my taste in R&B music isn't the strongest when it comes to newer acts unless it's classical soul and R&B music. So if you have something that you want to check out and it's kind of trap flavored with some generic beats over it sometimes, you can come to me, because you know I'll have you ready and supplied, and I don't know why I'm insulting myself like this. It's just the melody. I like sometimes when the vocals from the R&B singer or the artist are really vibrant and really explosive, but there's nothing wrong with emphasizing the subtlety that a voice can deliver and the impact that a voice that has that subtle nature can deliver to a track. Sunflower Seeds with Young Nudy and Bourne, Jason Bourne, Bourne Activity, Paranormal Activity. Say the first word that comes to your mouth that starts with a P. I didn't love this album. It was cool though. It was cool. I didn't mind this too much, because not only was I not expecting it to come out or release or anything like that, I wasn't expecting any good songs off of it. So I really went into this project expecting nothing and trying to grab something. It being, you know, produced by, I'd say, a producer that gives you a sugar rush when it comes to music, when it comes to instrumentals. I was looking forward to what he had to say. Sunflower Seeds is by far probably the best track on this project, in my opinion. Even though Nudy doesn't deliver that strong vocally or lyrically, I just think the vibe and the overall aesthetic of this track just helps to push forward a very laid back, very natural experience. It can be kind of somber and kind of sad, but at the same time, very relaxing. Denzel Curry with the Zoo album and his track Birdz featuring Rick Ross. Fuck a Pop-Tart, we carry toasters for real. I will heat you up. I will take your spleen out from your esophagus. You can't even do, well, I think you can do that. Medically, I'm a doctor. Come to my office. I got something to show you. What's that? It's a glove. My hand is going in. No homo. All homo. I'm reaching in. I'm pulling something out. What have I pulled out? Birdz. I'm sorry. This track is just alarming. It's exactly how I described it when I first listened to it on the channel, and I said that it sounds like antivirus software acting up when it catches something. But on this track, I feel, and I still maintain this opinion, that they're acting as two dictators, making sure their city is safe from any green shit. And I really like the way both of them tackle it. While they're pushing forward their city and they're pushing forward their name, I feel like they're making sure not to allow any bullshit in at the same time. And not only is this track loud and abrasive and in your face, it's got just as much energy from both artists to go along with it, and I love it, and it's definitely something you should check out. Man, I got through that without having to edit anything I said. Look at me, growing, being smart, coming up with shit on the fly. Look at me, no script, coming at you at 7 o'clock. I lied, it's 4 p.m. Actually, it's probably later than that because I told you I'd be uploading at 4. Actually, I lied again. I never told anybody that. Pretty much the second half of the Beast Coast album I did enjoy. I know a lot of people didn't agree with the 6 out of 10 that I gave it in my initial review, but I'm sticking with that opinion because I still feel the same way about it now that I did when I reviewed it. I pretty much like half of the songs here, which isn't a bad thing, but it makes kind of, the other songs not really playable for me. But, a couple of the tracks that I really love here is Coast is Clear, Darkness of a track like Puke, and the melody of a track like Desperado. All of it really works on that front. So, go listen to it because I enjoyed it. I really did. But if you really trust my opinion and you think my opinion is your opinion, skip the first half of the project because to me that's the weakest part. I got Like Me from Steve Lacy on this project as well. His new track or his new album Apollo something, I believe it was called. I didn't remember. I really skimmed through it the first time, then I went back again and gave it a full listen. I don't know why this album sounds so dull or so like just low key or underground or unfinished or just so blah, but it does. One of the tracks though that's my favorite, I think it was like a bit of a melody or a bit of a consistency or repetitive nature that the track Like Me had. I even enjoy the 9-minute duration for the remainder of it and the Daisy feature. I thought it all kind of worked, though I wouldn't think that there's much marketability in a 9-minute track. I still enjoyed this track out of the rest of them. And if you like Steve Lacy and you haven't heard him since his EP that came out back in 2017, this is something I recommend. Flying Lotus is another album that came out recently that, again, was gonna write a review for it and post one. I just did not have the time. I'm lying, I did have the time. I just didn't fucking do it. The album was kind of like getting on a bus, but the bus rider doesn't have, the bus driver doesn't have a destination, It's like getting an Uber and all of a sudden everybody's GPS in the Uber goes dead and you guys are just driving and pulling up at a bunch of different stops, never actually coming to where you want it to go. That's kind of how I feel about this album right here. I think one of the things that I like about Flying Lotus is just how instrumentally it feels like you're going to a completely different place, a completely different space, cohesively, like throughout the entire listen. But here, I feel like each track is taking you to a different destination. And I don't actually want to stop at any of these places. However, there are a couple of stops that I feel are made correct, like the Denzel Curry Black Balloons reprise that a lot of you guys were telling me about. I like a couple of the other instrumentals here with the George, I want to say George Clinton so bad. Oh shit, I was right. Fuck. Quite frankly, a good portion of these tracks can take you on a bit of a ride, and I like that. But I'm just not there long enough to enjoy where I'm going. This is where we always argue, people and myself, in the comments section, where they say, oh, albums don't have to be cohesive for them to be good. You're 100% right, but it definitely makes for an easier listening experience. It makes for an overall easier consumption of music when it's all headed toward one idea or a specific theme. When it's all over the place, it's kind of like bunch of random detours, and that could be interesting for some people, but for people that actually want a consistently evolved artist without having to, or without doing something that you feel he may be backtracking into, I think it's to his detriment. But I do really enjoy a good portion of the tracks on here, probably up to about 5 or 6, but that's about it. And I also really enjoy the influence clearly that Flying Lotus had on artists like To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar, or Awaken My Love, Childish Gambino. Tabby's Billy Banks track, I actually really enjoyed this project. Psych, I didn't. Actually, I did. But the thing about it that I didn't like was how short it was. And again, Tabby, kind of gave me a bit on this project. My issue with which was Flying Lotus, It was so many different directions, and I love that, but I hate it at the same time. This is just an EP, so it's a little bit more tolerable here, and it's just something that isn't uh, in my opinion, something that's worth scrutinizing the entire thing over. But I would prefer if this was kind of a little bit more of a cohesive theme or sound in a specific direction. We do get multiple different tabbies here, one that's a little bit more melodic, one that's a little bit more what is the word I'm thinking of,
Rappity rap.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's hard to judge this project, as there are clear influences here, but one thing I do like that he has a distinct voice. You know, I'm always going to recognize Tabby now and in the future, and I like that. I like that he's not trying to emulate the tropes of any artist that he's influenced by right now, despite him having influences maybe from artists like Danny Brown, despite him having influences sonically to artists like Brockhampton. It does still sound like he's trying to maneuver it in his own way, and I think this is kind of like a another one of those stops to an end, a stop before you get to your destination, in my opinion. And I think I'm more excited for a project that he's going to be releasing soon than I am for the remainder of this EP. But Billy Blanks is something that I really enjoyed. I just don't know why. It seems kind of done. It seems very confident. It's a little bit more focused. I like his energy here. That isn't to say a track like Sub-Zero/Nash with Reagan Wolf isn't a bop too, because despite its kind of house influence on that track, I still really enjoy the jazz and the groove of Tabby's delivery on this track. Very stylish, kind of laid back. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed this EP, but it's definitely something that is pushing me to look forward to something bigger that he has coming, as opposed to just being satisfied with this, because as of now, I'm not satisfied. I got a bit of a chub. Don Toliver with No Idea. I knew that this was going to come out, but I didn't know that I was going to like it. Because the last Don Toliver thing that he released on SoundCloud first, I didn't really like it like that. This one, I don't know why. It's just so... Despite how clearly and blatantly it takes from Travis Scott, it just seems like he has more mastery over it. Like, he seems to just be a little bit more emotionally connected to the track than Travis is. He seems less computerized and less like an effect than Travis does, despite the obvious influence that it would have from Travis Scott's production and his sound on this track. He just seems so much more humane. He seems just so much more connected, and I feel him more, him having that connection to the track and using those different vocal inflections and those different cadences, and that delivery of his kind of makes this unique to him. Despite it being so lyrically absent, it's a vibe, and I hate using that word. You know I hate using that word.
Things first, let me get that intro down, disruption. You were so in love.
Yeah, it's getting me really hyped for his project that's coming soon. I really hope it's grand. It's this grand introduction and the entire, like, bring in the Kraken. Hopefully it's coming out soon. He did tweet a very cryptic date, so I hope that's alluding to an album dropping sometime in the middle of next week. I'm about to cry. That's really all I got for this week when it comes to the songs playlist. I probably got a couple more that I'm forgetting, but you know. You know what I've listened to in the past couple weeks. You know what I've been shouting out. Follow my Twitter if you don't. I never shout out my Twitter. I'm just one of those people that, you know, if you follow me on one avenue of social media, I don't think you need to be following me on multiple avenues of social media. It's like going to work and seeing a coworker, and then you getting off, and then you're at home and you're following this person. Like, why the fuck? Like, quit being a creep. I guess some people want to see my tweets, but don't get your hopes up. They're all bad. I mean, yeah, Skepta's project. You know, a couple more with Injury Reserve. That's really it as far as what I've been listening to recently. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and I've got a kid on the way. Okay, bye.